Well, now, this, the weather, I, side issue, we always thought when we had a mission we'd get a good meal before the mission. And I've always, this of course was breakfast, and before we always hoped for fresh eggs. And I had fresh eggs one time, the whole time I was overseas. But I still remember that day we had corned beef hash on a toast, one of my favorites. But anyway, I get to the airplane and it's all loaded and my crew's there. My co-pilot is Jim Scott was the co-pilot. He was a fighter pilot in Battle of Britain. And how he got into troop there, I don't really know. But after flying with the English, he went into the 8th Air Force, and from there he came to the troop there. Anyway, he was my co-pilot. We flew with, normally with two pilots, a crew chief, and a radio operator, and sometimes a navigator. On this flight, I had no navigator. My crew chief, I don't remember his name. My radio operator was Blake, Sergeant Blake. He was killed on that mission. But
Will you stop it a second?
no, it's fine. I intended to write the parents a letter, but I never did. Well, anyway, we took off. It was an instrument takeoff for the lead ship, and we had to keep it in real close to maintain the formation. And we took off, and as soon as I said gear up, Jim says, "You're in a bank to the right, airspeed 90. And maybe I should tell you, we had a system to avoid vertigo. Night flying, particular formation, everybody gets vertigo. And it's just horrible to have to sit there and fly while you think you're upside down. So we developed a method that got rid of that. The pilot not flying talked to the pilot flying all the time, telling him his configuration, what he was doing, turning, slowing, everything, give him airspeed bank and everything. And you pilots probably know, if you get vertigo and you look at your instruments, your vertigo will go away, if you believe them. And it's the same thing with someone telling you. If you have this vertigo feeling that you're in a turn to the right, and you look at your instruments, see that you're level, your vertigo will go away. And the same if you hear someone tell you that. Anyway, this is the system we have. And Scott kept telling me, we're turning to the right and getting slower and slower. And all I can do, I cannot take my eyes off of those formation lights. You can't see the airplane, you can only see 3 formation lights on that left wing. And you can't even see them at any distance. But the airplane began to shake. It's stalling. I had no choice but to veer away with full power. And when I did, the airplane hit the ground, at least the tail hit the ground. And it was a real bad bump. But we kept flying. And I doubt if anyone had ever stalled that airplane with pararacks on at that weight. We were way overloaded. But anyway, we were flying, and but now we're on our own. We're all alone. The rest of the airplanes never even got to the drop zone. But what happened to me, I climbed up to maybe 5,000 feet and called Darky. And Darky is a system they had over there, an emergency system on a common frequency. You called Darky, and someone would answer you and tell you anything you wanted. And I asked for a heading to Omaha Beach. That was going to be my initial point there in the peninsula. And they gave me all the information I needed, so we flew on. And there was no air traffic control over there, and all these airplanes flying around, milling around in all the instruments at night. You know some of them are going to run together. And we encountered a few severe bumps from turbulence, only caused by another airplane. You had to be pretty close. So I know we went close to a lot of airplanes. And the British had a searchlight, naturally, that destroyed all of our eye acclimation. Before these missions at night, we would wear goggles, green goggles, for 3 or 4 hours. We had already been to night vision classes. I'm deviating a little bit here. We never stopped training, no matter where we were. And one of our training was for night vision, and the way they did it, they had a hangar in England that was completely blacked out. There was no source of light at all. And on the floor there were white lines painted that you were supposed to walk on, and off to the side there were white bean bags, and you're supposed to pick up as many as you could. Well, the first time we went in there, it was, you couldn't hardly see the line. But when they taught us how to use our eyes, the first wear some goggles and get them the right dilation, and use your eyes by scanning rather than concentrating on an object, that you can see so much better at night. But anyway, we had gotten ready for this night mission, prepared our eyes, but as soon as someone lights a cigarette lighter or a searchlight flashes by, you lose it all. And of course, we had already lost that. So anyway, over the channel, we're headed for Omaha Beach. Over the channel, it's getting light now. The weather's breaking up and it's getting light. You see pretty good. A couple of P-51s, one on each wing, joined me. And well, we were happy to see it. And we thought, man, this is great, getting some escorts in here, you know. And I could see Omaha Beach up ahead. So I leveled up, pointed the nose down and put full power on it. And I got to the beach. Just before we got to the beach, Scott says, he lit up a cigarette and said, "Here, want a cigarette?" I said, "No, don't have time for that." Anyway, he said, "You better take it, it may be your last." And to tell you the truth, I think he might be right. But at the beach, the P-51 just peeled away and left us. And we got that lonely feeling again. Well, anyway, I crossed that beach, fastest airplane to go, below 50 feet. And right where I wanted to be as far as the mission on the way to the drop zone. I crossed the beach just a few hundred yards, I guess. There was a line of American tanks, and the guys waved to us. And not more than half a mile farther in, there was a line of German tanks. And they greeted us with machine gun fire. I wasn't aware of any hits, but we went in there as low as you can possibly get. Now, that part of the Cherbourg Peninsula is made up of farming area. It's fields that are separated by hedgerows. These are hedgerows are trees about 20, 30 feet high and heavy undergrowth at the bottom. So it's squares. And I had to pull up to go over these hedgerows. I tried to get as low as possible. That's the only protection we had in those unarmed airplanes. We didn't even have a self-sealing tank. But anyway, we picked up ground fire all the way. There was one field that I crossed, had so many Germans, there was no place for them to hide. There was like the Santa Ana parade ground on Sunday after dispersal, just covered with German soldiers. And they were all shooting at me. So we had never been taught on how to avoid ground fire. And here's this scared pilot up here. What I did, I would put in almost full rudder and opposite aileron and fly the airplane sideways as much as I could. Knowing the machine gunner is going to, any gunner is going to lead the longitudinal axis of the airplane. And when I saw tracers coming off the right side, I would try and skid through them by opposite rudder and aileron and switch ends. I'd switch ends one way or the other, switch which direction I'm sliding in. Anyway, it seemed to work. We kept going. I got so low I could actually see soldiers up ahead of me firing on a level plane at my cockpit. And if they hadn't have gotten on the ground, I'd have got them in the drop. One hedgerow, I didn't pull up in time and I hit it. The airplane hit the top of the trees and just kept going. Well, we were going as fast as the airplane goes. It sounded like a wreck between a freight train and a big lawnmower. But we got to the drop zone, and see coming up on it, and we were experts at map reading, and the map makers were experts. We had the most accurate maps I've seen before or since. We don't have maps this accurate today in the United States. Every clump of trees was on that map.